You're listening to Sonic Female Podcast with Justine Blazer. Today's show is brought to you by Gaturi Guitar String Jewelry. Custom handmade jewelry, all made from guitar strings. Visit them at gaturi.com and on Facebook and Instagram. Today on Sonic Female, she's in studio with us. She's a pop R&B singer, Eliyya Lane. Hey girl, how are you today?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing really good. So I'm going to kind of make the listeners aware of kind of our backstory. I have been a friend of yours for quite some time, but our history goes back quite some years. I mean, we can explain that a little bit, but you originally are Serena. That's how I know you. You have a recent name change, in which we'll kind of get into as this interview continues, but you are an independent pop singer in Nashville, Tennessee, in country music USA. So I find that super fascinating to hear your journeys as you become growing more popular every single day with music that is, I think, really, really awesome. It's something that you're not hearing, especially in this town. So I'm really eager to hear your journey from kind of where you started as to where you're going. So you're originally from Ohio. So we have a little bit of a history. So but go ahead and tell them. So you basically came down to Nashville, was 2012.
Yeah. So it was my 21st birthday, and I was with all of my friends, and we were just like hanging on the main strip of Nashville, and went into this bar. It's not there anymore. It was at Tequila Cowboy, and I remember you were on stage singing, and I was like, dang, that girl's so good. And my friends were like, get up there. Maybe she'll let you sing one because it's your birthday. And I'm like, nah, I don't know. I don't think I should. I was like, no, do it. And they're like, you know how like your friends like get so annoying. They're like, do it. So I was like, okay. And like I don't even remember like asking you, but apparently I did because like no one would let me just get up there. So yeah, I guess I asked you, and we got up there and we sang a song together. I don't even remember what song it was.
I feel like it was either a Shania Twain song or it was a Miranda song.
It was Shania Twain, because Shania Twain's like my favorite artist in the whole wide world.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because I'm pop, but yeah.
Well, so Shania's kind of pop too.
Yeah,
kind of.
she is. And she's moved over to pop too, so.
Yeah, she's doing that crossover thing. Yeah, and you sent me that picture on Facebook, and if you guys go to our site, I'll make sure I post that because that is super fascinating. I kind of even forgot about that, and then you sent me that picture, and I was like, I remember this vaguely. I remember it though. And it's
That's crazy. You remember it?
I do. And it's interesting because I don't let a whole lot of people come up on stage and sing. So for some reason,
that's so weird.
It happened. So
yeah,
I'm really glad that it did, because it certainly was a factor that we used later, because you came to Nashville, and I think you started working at Bootleggers, and then I was like, hey, I'm Justine, and you're like, hey, I'm Serena,
and I know you,
and you know me, and I was like, wait, what? And then you told me the story, and I was like, okay, awesome, that's really cool. So that's great. So.
That's cool.
It is really, really cool. So I've been following your journey. So talk about a little bit how you were able to transition, because you moved to Nashville roughly 4 years ago, and you had a great job. You had was it a corporate job, making really good money.
Yep.
And, you did what a lot of people may not do, and that is quitting your job, kind of going against your parents' wishes to pursue music full time. And you bartend, here and there at Bootleggers, and just to kind of help keep money coming in. But you have this allotted schedule now. So you're in the studio, you're working, you're writing all the time.
Yep.
How has that been for you? Has it been a good move? Has it been facing some challenges? Talk about that. Maybe other people can kind of relate to that.
Yeah. I definitely don't regret it. I do not regret quitting my day job. But like with that, it's been beautiful transition. It's been beautiful. I've learned like a lot about myself and who I am as a person and as an artist. Like I found my sound finally. Like when you're first starting out, your music is nobody cares, nobody hears it. You're not going to make any money from it. So quitting a job that was salary based with benefits was kind of scary and hard. But like honestly, I didn't even think twice about doing it, because I had moved to Nashville for the only reason was to do music. And for 3.5 years, I was just not doing music. I moved here. I was a publicist for for like Christian artists.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did. I worked with Lecrae and Andy Mineo and like Jackie Velasquez and Robert Earl Keen, which he wasn't Christian, but he did country. So I did that for 2 years and I like freaking hated it so much. Yeah, and it's nothing against the artist. It was just I was promoting other artists and I too was an artist and I just like wasn't passionate about it.
I know what that feeling's like.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so like I remember one time I was working with an artist and he wanted to be on like the front of the Tennessean or the Nashville scene and it's like, yo, like you're not that big, but like I'll try, like we'll try. And so we like happened to get it somehow. And we had like 7 phone interviews lined up. I had worked so hard, like all of those I had done. And like the day of the phone interviews, like he missed them all because he had slept through it.
Oh,
yeah.
Doesn't that just kind of piss you off?
Yeah. I sat in my office with no windows and I cried. I legit cried. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So then I quit and I got this other job doing graphic design for a window company. I was really desperate to get out. So I took any job. They're like, oh, do you know how to do Photoshop and Illustrator? I'm like, nodding my head yes, but thinking in my head no. So like I like YouTubed the hell out of how to do Photoshop and Illustrator and I got the job and worked there for 2 years.
That's
made
awesome.
Great connections. And that was actually the job where I met my first producer. And we would, every Tuesday after work, shout out to Alex Lagos, every Tuesday after work, we'd go to his house and we'd get on FL Studio and just cook up beats.
Yeah.
And I learned that I was like, wait, you don't need live instruments to like make fire music. That's lit. Like, so we just did that every Tuesday and we started coming up with stuff. And then it got to the point where I was like working 9 to 5 and then going to the studio and going from like 6 to like 2 a.m. And then I'd do that like 3 days a week and I was just like exhausted, but I loved it. And then I got connected with this other producer, Nate Cornell. And do you know him, Nate? Have you heard of him?
I don't know Nate.
Okay.
Nope.
Yeah, he's pretty good. But we started working together and he was like the next level. Like he did this full time. And he was really good. And, we started spending even more time doing that. And I was just like so exhausted. And then after 2 years of constantly doing it, I decided that I was just gonna call it quits on my day job. I took a bartending school on the side. I went to another school to learn how to teach yoga and got my certification to teach yoga. I got my certification to be a bartender. And then once I got all that, I was like, deuces to Window City. Shout out. I love them so much. But I let it go and I started doing my own thing as of last April full time. And it was really weird because it's like for 4 years I had like a set schedule. I was like 9 to 5, weekends off. And then I remember the first day I didn't have to go to work and like I was just like, okay, this is my day. Mm-hmm. I guess I'll write. I need to like book a studio. Like what the hell am I doing?
Yep.
And so it was a process. And then, I got linked up with this other producer named Jason Threm and he was the dude that helped me find my sound for sure. Like all summer long, we are working in his little basement studio. Like also, it was like when I met you is when I started working with him.
Well, we met again.
Yeah, we met again. Exactly. That's when I met you again. Yeah, and like we were working and it turns out I really like jazz. I'm really influenced by jazz music. Mm-hmm. And like lo-fi beats. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even know my mind liked that, but I guess I do. And so we started just running with that. I'm like, yo, my voice sounds really lit with that kind of beat. And so we just kept going. And then Jason was cool. I had my first show. We put out some music in the summer. And yeah, I guess, yeah. That's basically what happened.
So when was your first single release? I remember seeing the video for that.
Yeah, so You Love Me was the first single I released as like an actual artist doing it, like seriously. And that was released, I want to say like June 28th or something. So okay. Almost a year ago.
Let's play that. This is You Love Me by Eliyya Lane.
Waking up to the thought that I'm still on my own. The way I ran plays in my head how I left you there alone. The words you said skin and take my breath away. I'm better off with no strings. I could call you any day. Now I'm nervous, can't be myself around you. It's too serious. We've changed so much from your truth. When you said you love me, you love me. When you said you love me, you love me. It's not your fault. I tend to have a love for the gypsy soul. I fall apart, a broken heart that can't gain back control. I run away from you, babe. I'm still running from you. A lonely heart, scared of love, and I don't know what to do. Now I'm nervous, can't be myself around you. It's too serious. We've changed so much from your truth. When you said you love me, you love me. When you said you love me, you love me. I'm nervous. Nervous. Can't be myself around you. You said you love me, you love me. It's when you said you love so much, you love me. Now I'm you said you love me, you love me. It's when you said you love so much, you love me.
I mean, I love that track, but everything you're kind of doing now has been leading up to this moment of this sort of, I wouldn't even call it a alter ego. I feel like Serena is the alter ego. And as you're explaining, Eliyya Lane is sort of the new birth of you as an artist. That is your true artistry. That's you in the most authentic form. Would you agree? Okay, so talk about from the point of You Love Me, which was last June, to now we're in, almost a year later. What has happened in that time frame?
Well, I met this other producer named Bailey Sample. Shout out.
I know Bailey. He's
yeah,
great.
he's great. We've just become like best friends. It was like he was more than a producer. Like to me, like we just like vibed out like really hard, and like every single song that we would do, it was just straight fire. Like it was just good. Like Bailey was the one that showed me that I'm a good artist. Like I didn't have any confidence in myself. And I think most of it was just because I wasn't making that great of music and I didn't know I could. But like I started working with Bailey, and he could just get my vocals so perfect. And he had like a vibe to him. And we just started making music together. And then when I heard what he was doing with my stuff, it was like I was excited to get back in the studio.
Yeah,
and that's a good
feeling.
sign. Yeah. Because before, like, I wasn't excited. Like, I'd be like, okay, every Wednesday, gotta go to the studio. Okay, let's be creative. But now, like, when I started working with him, it's like, oh my gosh, I want to go to sleep. So I get to go to the studio tomorrow. You know?
Yeah, you have to have that feeling.
Yeah. It's awesome. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, and I recommend that with any artist. I mean, if you're not getting that feeling, then obviously that is not your producer. And not that, producer X or producer Y is a bad producer. It comes down to a chemistry, and you have to have the proper chemistry. Like you vibe with him, but like, someone else could not maybe vibe with him. And it's just science. It's just, whatever frequency wavelength that you're on. I think I saw a interesting video one time. I saw it was like viral, and it was like all of these colored, like, was it marbles or something like that, and they were all set scientifically to a different frequency, they let all of the marbles go into dividers, and all the reds went with the reds, all the oranges went with the oranges, and so on. Yeah, look it up on YouTube. I'm sure you can find it. But that's like the science of frequencies, you know? So that's probably what you guys have.
That's cool. So it must be the same color. That's cool. Well, like I got my aura. I went to this art crawl like last week, and this girl was taking pictures of your aura.
What's your aura?
I'm green.
I was gonna say I'll probably guess orange, but
oh, dude, Bailey's orange.
Okay. So green and orange is that's it. That makes sense. That's the opposite.
Does it? Does that make sense?
I was gonna guess orange, but
cool.
But you're green.
Green. Yeah, green.
That's interesting.
Green is very determined, I guess. So
nice.
Which I guess I am. Everybody says that. But yeah, so I started working with him, and we started making really good music, and I became way more confident in my work, and you know, there was just like a vibe, like people started to take me seriously, like people who worked with Bailey would ask about me, and like he would tell me, and it made me feel good, like it made me be like, okay, you know, I can do this artist thing, like for sure, like I'm good, like I have something to offer. So now we're like 12 songs later to today, and honestly, like half those songs are not even gonna release. But you know how it is, like when you write, you keep writing better, keep making new music, and it gets better and better, and you just like, you don't even want to release those old songs because like
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, it's so true. You said you have 12 songs. So is that
pretty much?
You're going to be putting on an album, or you're just going to drop them as like singles at a time?
We're going to drop singles, and honestly, we probably won't even release half of them. Like we'll probably like pitch them to like other people if they want to sing them, because like that was like, we didn't know what we were doing. We were just like finding sounds, and that was Serena, you know, like I was still like in that Serena stage of like, she knows what she's doing, but she doesn't, but she's working hard to get you to the next level. She's testing, she's experimenting, she's being open-minded, she's writing, but she's not completely confident. She's not completely secure with what she wants. So now, like 3 months ago to now, it's like, oh no, I know the sound. Like we definitely know the sound. We know what we're doing. We know what we want. We know the goal. And now it's like, okay, we need a name to go along with this sound and this like artist and this confidence. So thanks Google, name ideas for
creator.
Yeah, Google name creator. Well, I wanted it to be very biblical, because, you know, my art, I want to spread the good news, basically.
Yeah.
Because there is good news out there, and a lot of people don't know it. And people are depressed, and people are miserable, and they don't need to be, because, like, there's good news.
Absolutely. No, you and I have had this conversation a couple times about, you know, just the belief and staying true to that. And it's so hard in such a jaded world. But it's good that you're bringing that as an emphasis to that. Would you ever sort of cross over into sort of a Christian, you know, pop thing, or is that too much, you know?
I feel like I am too much of I don't want to say sinner. I feel like I'm not like the poster child for like Christian music, but I'm definitely like
more on the inspirational side.
Side for sure.
Positivity.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
No, that's great. You have a lot of talents. You know, you said you do yoga. I've seen some of if you guys follow her Instagram, she posts videos of her doing some crazy things, which I'm like I'm always like living vicariously through that.
Trying to get better.
Yoga is hard. It's really hard. So you do that. I've seen your work as a photographer. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, your graphic work is great, too. So, thanks. I mean, you offer, you know, so many more things than just, you know, a singer-songwriter. So you're becoming this sort of female mogul, which is what I personally am all about supporting. That's sort of my platform for this show, is to really hype up, you know, women that are doing, you know, great things in the music industry. Yeah. So, you know, you talked about, you know, some of the more positive things happening. What are some of the challenges that you've been facing? Because you are, let's face it, in a town that's predominantly country and male dominated. So we have sort of those two things working against. How are you able to sort of persevere and kind of cut through that and make your noise?
I think I'm super naive about that stuff. And I don't pay attention to the fact that Nashville's a lot of country. I just do what I like to do, and that's make the music that I like to make. And I'm not out there doing writers' rounds all the time. I'm not out there playing all the time, but I am in the studio almost every single day. And you know, like, Nashville is definitely changing. Like, there's a lot of people that are moving here from, like, New York or from LA. Now, granted, like, if I feel like LA would probably be easy. No, not easier. But I feel like there's a lot more people out there that could probably connect me. But like, the thing with Nashville is like, it has such an energy, it has such magic, and it has such a good vibe that like people want to help you. You know what I mean? Like, people want to collab with you. People want to be a part. Like, if they believe in you, they want to be a part of like what you're doing. And I've witnessed that. Like, I've witnessed that here in the past like 5 months, honestly. And so like, I love that vibe. And I definitely need that because like, for me, like, I'm not like I'm not really a backstabber. I'm not like jealous of other artists when they're like doing really well. I'm just like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. Like, let's go, keep going, you know, keep going. Because like, honestly, like, we're all on our own journey. We're all on our own path. And like, you know, it's really easy to compare yourself to other people. And then you just bring yourself down. And it's like, for me, like, I just put horse blinders on and I just do what I'm supposed to be doing. And I pray and I ask that I do what I was put here on earth to do. And so, you know, with the whole country scene in Nashville, like, I haven't really been discouraged about it. I find it honestly to be a good thing because I feel like if I were in LA or New York, I feel like it's super saturated. And I actually like that I don't do country music here because it makes me different, and I don't know. That's what I feel.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to think about like the fact that you don't do country in this town. It does make you stand out because I've only had a couple other artists that are pop or whatever, and the rest have been just the country. So the country does kind of tend to sort of blur together when the pop, it does sort of some reason stand out a little bit more. But it's interesting because the country music, especially like the females like Mary Morris and Kelsey Ballerini, they are, I mean, honestly, like that line is so blurred. They are kind of crossing over into that pop country thing now too. But you've kind of yourself described as experimental pop and R&B. So what were some of the influences that you had growing up kind of create that sound?
Definitely Elvis Presley. I was raised on Elvis. My mom, like, that's all she ever listened to when we'd get in the car. So I pretty much know every single Elvis song you can ever think of. And I think that's honestly where I get my tone in my voice, is just from listening to Elvis Presley all the time, because his tone is so like R&B soul, especially in the gospel songs he sang. And I remember like my mom would play that shit all the time, and I would want to sing like that. So like I would sing with him, and I honestly think that's where I get my tone. You
do have a very distinctive tone. If you guys are not aware of your singing, it's very like jazzy, and I cannot compare you to anybody else. You have literally like the most distinctive
Whoa, that's
voice
cool.
that I've heard.
Whoa, that's
that
amazing.
I've heard. So I could probably name a bunch that sound all kind of the same, but like I can't think of one person that sounds like you.
I'm gonna cry.
So that's
awesome.
good. That's really good.
You hear your voice like forever. Like I was just like, I've always sang, like I hear my voice ever since I was a little girl. So I don't think it's anything special, but like people always say that. And I'm like, well, thank you. Like I'm humbled by it. And I need to continue to hear that because I get down on myself like bad. So thank you.
Yeah, no, it's truly, and you said that Elvis, it makes so much sense now because
really?
I can hear it.
Yeah.
Maybe is there a few more that you want to mention?
Yeah, so that was Elvis. That wasn't by choice. That was just my mom forcing it down me and my brother's throats. And also my grandma, like she loved Elvis too. She had like posters on her ceiling. You couldn't even see her ceiling. It was full of Elvis posters. But the other one would definitely be Shania Twain, which is very interesting because like I don't really do country, but growing up, Shania was like my girl. Like I listened to her so much. I had every single album. I remember like my biggest dream, even today, is to sing on stage with Shania Twain. If I ever get the chance to sing with Shania Twain, I would probably die. Like, I would cry, like, cause and I don't know if like that's an influence on how I sing or how I write music, but, I loved her. She has an alto voice and I have an alto voice. So yeah, I think that's definitely one of the influences for sure.
That's awesome. I love Shania too. It's funny you said I had the same dream about singing with Reba.
Oh, love Reba.
I don't know. I literally had this dream, like, and I've had several times now where I'd like sing with her. So if anybody wants to hook that up,
hey, let's go. Hook a girl up. Awesome.
So you have had this really this interesting journey from working in a job, and then now you're kind of creating your own sound. You have a name change. With every episode of Sonic Female, we talk about something that may be a little bit more personal. So you said that mental health is something that you're really sort of truly passionate and almost an advocate for. So talk about that a little bit, sort of your story with that.
Yeah. So basically, like last summer, I got saved by the love of God. And with that came a lot of self-realizations in my head. And 3 years ago, I had lost my younger brother to a car accident. And so I was raised Catholic. And so after my brother passed away, I was constantly like living in this life of, I did something wrong. I need to fix it. I need to, like, I'm sorry. Like, I need to fix it. Like, I was trying to do all these things, to make everything right, to make me feel like a better person. And honestly, it was just all subconscious. Like, I didn't know I felt that way. I also didn't know, like, after 2 years of him, passing, I had still been grieving, because like people could bring him up and like, I wouldn't cry. Like, I'd just be fine with it. But some things happened last summer. I was actually working at Bootleggers, and these two girls came into the bar. I don't normally talk to the customers that often, especially when we're busy. But for some reason, like, I just felt the need. I was like, yo, where are you guys from? And they're like, oh, we're from Ohio, which is where I'm from. And I was like, okay, well, I'm from Greenville. And they're like, oh my gosh, us too. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. I was like, well, my last name is Bargy. Like, do you know any Bargies? And she's like, oh my gosh, do you know Sam Bargy? Which is like my brother's name. And I was like, it hit me like a semi trigger. Wow. I wasn't expecting that. Like, cause I was just like so random, and she said it in like such a happy tone that I honestly thought maybe she didn't know that he was gone. And so I'm just like, yeah, I know Sam. She's like, oh my gosh, like, I love him. And then like, honestly, like, I hadn't cried in a long time about my brother. And I felt like tears welling up behind my eyes, and I was like, what? Why am I about to cry? And so she like saw that, and she immediately was like, oh my gosh, are you Serena? And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, oh my gosh, you're Sam's older sister. Oh my gosh, you were in choir.
Oh,
you played tennis. Like, I know all about you. I'm so sorry. I loved Sam so much. He was in my English class. He was the class clown. Like, she's going on. And like, at that point, like, I just started like sobbing. Like, it was just like a cry that it felt like it was the week he had died, but it was a cry of relief. Like, it was like relief. And literally earlier that day, it was a Sunday, I went to church, and like the pastor was like, ask the Holy Spirit to reveal what you've been like burying. And not like I did, and like nothing was revealed. But then like literally later that day at work, those girls came in, and like that cry was just like so light but heavy and so crucial in like my path of like my mental state, that I realized that I had been grieving. And I wrote a song about it called Mind Abuse, and we put it out last summer. And that was like, I also like low-key dabbled in drug use. Like, I went to a festival, and I had like tried some things, but that was more like recreational. But like when your brain is in that state, you start thinking outside the box of what your normal state is.
Yeah.
And you start realizing other other things that have been happening in your life. So mental health to me is super important because you are in control. Like you are in control of what you want to do and who you are as a person. Nobody else is in control. Not like, and society does a really good job at telling you that you can't do this or you shouldn't do that or that's like too big of a dream. Don't do that. Like society's really good at that. And like they don't even mean to be. Like your parents even say stuff and they don't mean to. It's just like normal. Yeah. But like it's so important to stay focused on like who you are and stop looking at everybody else. Like stop looking at it. And that was my biggest struggle. And so when I realized I'd been grieving, all these other things started like coming into fruition for me as well. Like I'd realized, like I was worrying about what my producer thought of my music. like do you. And so, that's why I do so much yoga is because it keeps me in the present and in the now, like right now. Like when you're on the mat, your mind can be going off thinking, but if you're focusing on your breath, you are being forced to be in the now. And so that's why I practice yoga so much because it does help my mental state. And when my mental state is off, when my chakras are unbalanced and my chemicals are not correct, I can't be creative.
Yeah.
I have anxiety.
Sure.
I worry too much about like what other people think. So yoga helps. So if you suffer from anxiety, definitely try yoga. Breathing is great.
So you said you suffer from some anxiety. Does that also kind of play into depression, or do you feel you're just more anxious and or something right in between?
I don't know if I can say depression because I have some friends that tell me about their depression, and I don't think I can relate to how they feel.
Right.
But again, those friends of mine that tell me about their depression, the common denominator with all of my friends is the fact that they care too much about what other people think. Other humans. And it's like we're all humans on this planet together. We can't go anywhere else, anywhere. So we might as well just stay focused on us. And if you have the love and the light inside you, you can say whatever you want because it's not going to be hateful. It's not going to be mean. Don't be afraid to say what you want. And like, I went to this concert by Judah and the Lion, and they had all these quotes on the wall. And the one quote that stuck out to me was, speak your mind even if your voice trembles. And
like
it's,
that.
Yes. And it's like, if you're a good person, if you have love in your heart, speak your mind because it's going to be good. It's going to be the spirit talking for you anyways.
Yeah.
So I think I might have went off topic with that. Oh, no. Depression and stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
It's all relevant. I mean, the music industry likes to, really intensify those feelings. And mental health is so crucial. And it's a very common thing with most creatives because I look at it like this, we have sort of this open aura. We have this really bright light, and which we have to be able to open ourselves up for creating songs and lyrics and being able to tell stories that maybe the average, Joe or Jane doesn't really have to tap into because they go to their office job every day or whatever, or they may use a different part of their brain. But as creatives, singer, songwriter, producer, photographer, graphics, whatever, fill the blank in. I feel like we struggle with that because there is no on and off switch. It's pretty much like you have to be open.
It's your life.
So you can create, but I look at it like it's an open wound. You pick the scab off and you're more susceptible to, the bacteria and the bad things that can harm you.
Yeah, that's so true.
I look at it like that. And so trying to find the balance of being able to live day to day, but then be able to create as well. It's a challenge. It's not like you can just take, this medicine and it's all good to go.
Right.
What have been some ways, you said yoga, what are some other ways to kind of help your anxiety and your mental state?
Definitely. I have a devotional book that I have, and I read it not every day, but for the most part, like maybe twice a week. And that helps me a lot. And also just like sitting in silence and just holding my hands in prayer pose at my third eye and just like sitting there and just feeling the warmth of my heart, honestly. I know that sounds crazy, but when you feel the warmth in your heart, that is the Spirit talking to you. And I do that maybe like I should do it way more, because after I do it, after I sit there, I guess people would call it meditating.
Sure.
But when I sit there and after I'm done, I feel I always have a good day. Like always, like no matter what. And, but it's like, oh, I don't have time. Like I can't sit here for freaking 15 minutes and listen to the Spirit like warm my heart before my day, because I got to eat breakfast and I got to go,
start your day.
Whatever, like paint a picture. I don't know. Like I have to do something else. So that's, I would say yoga and like meditating. Also, I really like to grocery shop by myself. So,
nice.
I'm definitely an introvert, and I just was told that like a month ago. Somebody told me that how you get your energy, it determines if you're an extrovert or an introvert. And,
really?
Yeah. And she asked me, she's like, do you re-energize alone or do you re-energize from other people? And for me, like getting off work as a bartender, you're surrounded by people. And getting off work and going to my apartment and turning on some music and doing yoga and eating cereal or drinking wine by myself is like, it totally like refills me. It's like, I love it. And I love grocery shopping by myself, I love working out by myself, everything by myself. It's just great. And she's like, yeah, you're an introvert. But like,
that sounds like me.
Maybe you're an introvert.
Maybe I'm an introvert too.
And you give, so whenever, but it doesn't mean that you don't like people. Like,
sure.
Because like you fill up. And then you give all of your energy to people.
That makes so much
And then
sense.
the people, they don't drain you because you don't let them drain you. But you give your energy and then you're drained by choice.
Yeah.
So then you have to come back and you get to do your thing again and be by yourself and love it and enjoy it. So
that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I learned something new.
Hey, there you go.
There you go.
You know who told me that was Roman's girlfriend, the therapist.
Oh, well, she's makes sense. Yeah. She's great. So you've been doing a lot of shows. You had your first tour not too long ago, and you got some festival shows coming up. And you said that you want to eventually be doing arena tours and just being out on the road like all the time.
It.
You told me that like a year ago. So I remember us sitting at where were we? We were at
Pinewood.
Pinewood, yes. And
that place.
and we had a discussion about that. So do you think you're getting there? You think you're on the right path?
Yes, definitely, girl. Like I'm telling you right now, I am touring with Lainey. Repping the shirt.
I noticed your shirt.
Yeah.
It's a black Lainey shirt. Yeah.
I love them. I just went to their show at the Ryman this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
I'm not a big fangirl, but like, I don't even know it's a fangirl, but like, I do love their music. But yeah, I'm putting it out there in the universe. We're touring with Lainey, and we're also going to tour with the Glass Animals for sure, which is like my second most favorite band. But regarding like touring and festivals and all this stuff, like it's definitely a process. I had my first festival show ever this Saturday, and like I was so humbled that they had me perform. Like they're having me perform. So I think it's a good step. I think I'm going towards the right direction. And I think I just need to remain in the present and not be so impatient.
Yeah. It's hard to be patient in this business because you remind me of myself of like, I want it yesterday.
Right.
And I think that's what makes us anxious, because we think about like, oh my gosh, like, is it ever going to happen?
That's so true.
But yeah, that is so true.
And people like people back home, your people, your friends, family back home, they get it, but they don't get it. And it's like I remember I had a hometown show 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. And one of my cousins, he's like an older gentleman. He comes up, he goes, "What kind of music is that?" And I'm like, honestly, man, like, I don't really know, but we'll just say it's pop. Mm-hmm. And he goes, "Okay, well, I couldn't really understand what you're saying." I'm like, "Yeah, well, the PA system was rented, like it was." And then he goes, "Well, you know what? If you don't make it, at least you can say you tried." And it's like, thanks, man. That's like so nice of you. But it's like people just like don't get it. And so you have to believe in yourself. And that's why I keep saying like, don't look at other people. Like, you have to believe in yourself and keep
Absolutely.
going.
No, it's so true. Actually, it's funny because you just said about putting things out in the universe,
to.
and it's interesting because it made me think of something just that happened to me. Is I love Linda Perry. Like, she's an amazing producer and songwriter, and I did this whole feature we had to recreate one of Linda Perry's looks, and so did that, and then just not too long ago I went to a conference for women in audio, and who did I meet? Linda Perry, and she critiqued one of my mixes in one of my songs. And yes, and so I thought that was just really, really interesting when you said like putting something out in the universe, and then
that's awesome.
It sort of take it. But one of the things that she did say was exactly that. Other people may not believe it or even understand it. Mm-hmm. If you believe it, and because she was giving critiques to people's songs, and she was just saying like, oh, this, that, whatever. But she's like, but this is just my opinion. If you believe it, then you're good. Yeah. Do it. You know what I'm saying? And that was coming from Linda Perry, and I thought that was super relevant because, we get, I don't know about you, but I get messages all the time, from people just liking my stuff, but then they also tell me, that they don't like it or whatever, I can't understand what you're saying. All those weird, comments, and I really don't understand why people want to be negative like that, but I would never say that to someone. But
they don't get it, though. They don't get it.
They don't understand it. And
they don't think they're saying anything mean.
They don't think they're saying, and they forget that we're like human beings and that we do, have reactions to those kind of comments. So what are some other ways that you sort of work through those type of challenges?
Well, writing.
Yeah, writing, definitely.
Writing my thoughts out. Normally when I start to write, I'll journal first, like no lyrics, just like no rhyming, none of that shit. Like I'll just write out like my thoughts and how I feel. And writing to the creator also really is meditating and helps me because it helps me stay focused. And honestly, I get a lot of answers when I write. Instead of like praying and I'm writing, I get some answers. And so once I finish that process, then I'll put it to paper and I'll put it into the lyrics, and then the lyrics teach me something. So definitely writing is an outlet, but like I said, like grocery shopping by myself, man. that's how I get through it.
That's the trick, everybody. Grocery shopping. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about kind of where we're headed. What are some ultimate goals that you want to sort of tackle right now?
We're going to get 1 million streams on Spotify this year.
Okay.
That is goal 1.
What's your plan for that?
We are going to release a song every 6 weeks. We have been, but seriously, because I don't think we have in the past month or two.
Well, now you have to rebrand with the
Eliyya
new name.
Lane, exactly, which I am super stoked about.
Are you doing pictures? Are you doing this whole thing?
Yep. We already did a photo shoot literally 2 days ago, and she already hit me up. She's like, "Hey, have your pictures done. Just pay me." I'm like, "Okay, we'll do." I didn't know you were gonna be a day later, but okay, I'll pay you.
The old pay me routine.
Yeah. But yeah, so we got the photo shoot. We got I kind of have I have a team on my side.
What is your team? Are you working with a manager and photographer, that kind of thing?
My team is my producer, and I have a songwriter. And my band is my team. They're constant, they're always we're writing tonight, all of us. So even though I'm a solo artist, us as a band, we all love each other so much that we're writing together, that's a team in itself. And then I have kind of this is really cool, honestly, all you artists who are listening, you guys should do this. So I have a friend whose name is Alex Whitaker, shout out. He owns the Crawl of Fame. And
nice.
Yeah. And, but he's the best. He's my best friend. And he used to manage bands back in the day. And I sent him some of my music. He fell in love with it. He loved it so much. And then he came to my show and he's like, "Oh my gosh." I was like, "Alex, will you manage me, please, please, please?" He's like, "I don't have time, but here's what I will do." And basically what we did was we made a email account and called it alex@whitakertalentmanagement.com, and we got a professional logo made and put it in the signature. And so now I am the one sending out emails to like publishers and management companies and bookers and festivals as Alex Whitaker, a guy. Because honestly, this is kind of messed up, but like I'm getting more responses from that.
Yeah, you will. People respond to that. They don't respond if you're the artist, you know.
Yeah, and
that's
also,
a great idea. Y'all should pay attention to that.
Yeah, you should definitely do that because, like, honestly, like, as an artist, I was emailing till I was blue in the face, like, people to get shows booked and all that stuff. And, like, I didn't really get a lot of responses, but, like, with Alex, it says, like, Whitaker Talent Management. And also, I think it's because I'm not a feminist, but I low-key think it might also help that he's a dude. And I think, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say that, but I just get that vibe. So when I'm emailing people from his account, like, I feel empowered. I'm just like, yep, I'm Alex Whitaker.
Exactly. No, you would feel empowered because once again, you're taking away the personal aspect to it and you're sort of channeling this sort of alter ego. So I know I've done that. I've done that a few times. You know, you sometimes you have to do that just to get a response.
Yeah.
You know, you really, really want something.
We're like getting so many responses.
You do whatever you have to do to get that person to respond back to you. If you want it bad enough, you'll figure out a way. You'll figure out a way to get their attention. So I find that awesome. Like, that's great. That's like genius.
The logo
right
is
there.
so fire too. Like it looks so legit. Yeah. He sent it to me and I'm like, dang, you like really went all out. He's like, yep, now get going. So like, I don't know. We even got a response from CSAC, like the pop, like main pop guy from CSAC.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So,
I can see your stuff getting placed in like sync licensing kind of stuff. You should try to go that route too.
I've been told that, but like, I don't know if maybe my stuff is sync worthy. But I don't know, like maybe, I don't know. We'll see.
For sure.
I'm open
because
to it.
It's got that sort of cool indie pop stuff, which,
I mean, I'm open to it.
It definitely, you hear that a lot, especially like these Netflix shows and these Hulu shows.
True.
You know, they want something a little bit more, you know, edgier. I just watched Russian Girl on Netflix, and they had some really cool music like in the background. So it's definitely
check that out.
A cool outlet. So yeah, so you're going to be doing that, and then is there anything else that you are just wanting to mention that you're sort of going after former fans, but now Alina Lane fans can be following?
So we have a single that's dropped. It's
Nice.
called Fake. And basically what happened with that song was I went to New York City with some girlfriends, and I'm just going to be completely honest. Me and my one girlfriend, we went out, and the other two girls wanted to stay in, and we were in New York City. We're like, we're going out. So we go out, we meet these two guys. We both wind up like hanging out with them, going back to their place. And the one dude, that whole night was amazing. Like, it was so much fun, and we had a great time, and like we meant no harm. And then the next day comes around, and I text the other two girls, and like they were like pissed off that like we went off, even though we told them we were going out, but they were so pissed off. And then like the whole rest of the trip, the next 3 days, they like just, you know how like girls can be, like they would, well, you know, like maybe if you would have done this, like they were just like that the whole trip. And then on the way back to Nashville, we drove to New York City. On the way back to Nashville, they didn't talk to us one time, and so I slept. So anyways, I had been friends with those girls for like 2 years. I didn't know they'd ever be like that towards me, so I wrote a song called
jealous.
Fake.
They're jealous.
You think so? You think so? I don't
Definitely.
know. I hope they don't hear this podcast. That'd be really bad.
I hope they do.
Well, they heard this song. Like, I played this song live, and I totally accidentally called out one of my friends. I was like, I'm sorry, girl. Like, I love you now, but like at the time, like this is how I felt about you. So yeah, when you guys listen to the song, maybe you'll relate.
Yeah, it's, you know what, it's just part of this industry. It's real. The more you kind of keep going in this direction, it's really hard to figure out who your friends are,
true.
and you know, and so you just surround yourself around other creatives, and those are the people that get you the most, because the non-creatives, they just don't get it.
They don't.
That's been my personal experience anyway.
Yeah,
you know, so.
And I've learned that too, or learning. That.
Yeah. One piece of advice that you'd give somebody kind of, you know, trying to, you know, emulate the same path that you're going down.
My advice, and I keep drilling this into everybody, would definitely just be, don't pay attention to anyone else. And if you firmly believe that you are fire and you can make it, then don't ever lose sight of that. And just be like a child and don't let your mind tell you you're not good enough, because you are good enough. Because there are so many people that can't even sing that have like millions of streams just because they said they could. And also, like, another piece of advice is you need to say it out loud. Like, don't just think it in your head, oh, I'm gonna play Bridgestone. No, you need to say, I'm playing Bridgestone. Like, almost like, I don't do this enough, but like, I would like to get a publishing deal with Cobalt. And we've been emailing them. And, you know, I need to, for me personally, is I need to say, I'm getting a pub deal with Cobalt. I'm getting a pub deal with Cobalt. So saying it out loud puts it out into the universe, and it's more prone to happen. So that would be, it's simple advice, but like, it's so important.
I read something about having like the power of your mind and stuff. And it read, whether you can or you cannot, you're right.
Ooh, whether you can or you cannot, you're right. Dang. So that's good.
Take that home.
I gotta
chew it up a little bit.
I gotta save this podcast. Like, I'm learning so much right now.
We are coming to age here. All right. What are some social medias that the listeners can follow? Kind of give us a little update on all that.
Okay. So my Instagram is Eliyya Lane.
Spell that.
It's ELIYYALANE. Eliyya Lane. And basically where we got that was, the first name was from Google, but I wanted it to be biblical, even though it was from like Elijah, and then we wanted it to be a girl, so it was like Eliyya. Sounds cool. And then the Lane was just like random. I was just like, Lane. Okay, so there's a ring. And then on Facebook, it's the same thing. It's just Eliyya Lane, at Eliyya Lane. Spotify, it's Eliyya Lane. I'm literally the only Eliyya Lane. So
there you go.
There is no excuse if you can't find me.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. We're going to end the podcast with her latest single. Here it is. It's called Fake.
I'm turning on to work way. Spend the weekend in LA. Headed to the hills to rage, cause all my friends back home are acting fake. I'm turning on to work way. Spend the weekend in LA. Headed to the hills to rage, cause all my friends back home are acting fake. Wash it away, forgetting what you say, finding my truth. There's nothing else to do. I can't tell you the last time that I had some peace fill up my mind, and I'm running back to the same shit that I seem to forget and forget. I'm turning on to work way. Spend the weekend in LA. Headed to the hills to rage, cause all my friends back home are acting fake. I'm turning on to work way. Spend the weekend in LA. Headed to the hills to rage, cause all my friends back home are acting fake.
Acting fake, my God, it's lonely. Feels like my friends don't know the real me. And now I see the real from phony. I don't need no one. It's down a bottle and crossing and wanting more. The ones that cross me had me falling on the floor. I find the door because I really wanna more of it. Turn your support to more than people I go.
I'm turning on to work way. Spend the weekend in LA. Headed to the hills to rage, cause all my friends back home are acting fake. I'm turning on to work way. Spend the weekend in LA. Headed to the hills to rage, cause all my friends back home are acting fake. The anxiety feels to rage, 'cause all my friends back home are acting fake.